This is part 2 of the Saturn Neptune conjunction, what's happening in Aries, and I was just explaining how they can enact the communist themes of the Saturn Neptune conjunction with reference to localized restructuring and control, which is already being put into place in the UK by Angela Rayner. But of course, it's not her, it's the people by her. And the way they're selling it is that local people can decide what happens in their local area. And this is really good because, you know, the power's being taken back from central government. But what they're not telling you is the mayors who will be selected, not elected, are going to be imposed on you, and a whole agenda will be imposed on you, and you'll be told it's for your own good. Meanwhile, it won't be. This is also closely linked in to the cities initiative, which of course is moving away from the Westphalian model of countries and nations and moving to the strong cities where everyone is being encouraged to live in a city, and where the cities become super powerful, and where if you're basically in the countryside, you're living in a backwater, you don't have access to the same services, infrastructure, and you will probably eventually be hounded out of existence, which is where you get the agenda with the farmers. Now, another thing to emphasize why we're moving into this communist era is what they're doing with the farmers in the UK. Now, I know Donald Trump turned this back in 2016 in the USA so that farmers were able to pass on their farms as a going concern rather than being taxed on the value of the farm through inheritance tax, where they end up losing the farm. But in the UK, it's very much different. The Labour government have made these new laws and inheritance tax laws very complex, so that the farmers have no choice when they die but to pay these massive inheritance tax bills. And that also means that the one way they can circumvent that is by taking out life insurance, extensive life insurance, right? So that means more money going into the pension funds. Now, the other really interesting thing is, behind the scenes, they've been changing the laws to make it easier for banks to do bail-ins. So when the eventual banking and pension fund and insurance companies go bust, right, they'll be able to get bail-ins, and then they just take money out of your account. They already did this in Greece and Cyprus when they had major financial problems. People in the UK feel protected up to a certain level. I think it's about 70,000, but you know, that is potentially going to change, because even in the mainstream media, they're kind of warning if you've got savings, they're under threat from this government. So you can see how they're coming after the property, the savings, possible life insurance, which you won't get if the pension funds are going to go bust. Why will pension funds go bust? Well, another big theme of Neptune in Aries is major disasters, particularly to do with fire and earthquake. So if you're going to see more pension funds paying out those, then you know, obviously, there's more jeopardy to the survival, not of pension funds, of insurance companies. So another way to grab wealth away, because people have invested so much in those pension stroke insurances. If the companies go bust, it's another way of kind of money disappearing and being absorbed upwards. So I'm not very confident or happy about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, but forewarned is forearmed, and we can kind of see which way it's going. So that gives us all an opportunity to resist.